Hi, I'm Ellen from the Chili Dog, and we're heading into week 2 of the It's Alright Mystery Knit Along hosted by my friends at Makers Mercantile. Today I'm going to show you how to spit join so you won't have any yarn tails to weave into your Möbius when you join a new yarn. Spit joining is a quick and easy technique where you basically felt the ends of your yarns together. It works well for yarns that are made from protein or animal fibers, like the Zitron Silbermond and Herbstwind yarns that are recommended for this pattern. Unless it has been specially treated, protein fibers like wool have microscopic scales that grab onto each other and felt when you apply moisture, heat, and friction. And we are going to use that property today to our advantage. Spit joining is usually used when working with two yarns that are the same color because it's not as invisible as some other methods. But today I'm actually going to be using two different colors of yarn so that it's easier to see the process. Let's get started. There are multiple variations of the spit join. You can unply the ends of your yarns a little bit, trim out about half the plies, and then wet and twist things together. Today I'm going to use a little bit more simplified method. I've already prepared my gray yarn and we will work through with the purple yarn here. So I start by simply breaking the end of the yarn. And what that does is it removes that blunt cut end and kind of lengthens and frays out these fibers a little bit and thins things out at the tip of the yarn. Then I just slide the yarn between my nail and my finger a couple times. And again, this just accentuates that effect of thinning out this yarn a little bit, stretching it, and feathering out the tip of the yarn end. And you may even find that you get a little bit of fluff that comes off when you do that, and that's perfectly fine. Next, we need to wet the ends of the yarn. You can use a little bit of water or, as the name implies, spit. And there are 3 advantages that I know of to using saliva instead of water. First, you may not always be near a water source when you need to join yarns. Second, the enzymes in your saliva slightly speed up the felting process by breaking down the proteins in the fiber a little bit. And finally, it's easier to perfectly saturate the yarn ends with saliva. The disadvantage, of course, is that there's a little bit of an ew factor related to slobbering on your knitting. So today I am just going to use water. So I'm just going to dip my yarn ends here into the water, squeeze them a little bit so that the water gets in, and then just pull through to get out the excess water so that I don't have too much there. Now for a less than flattering camera angle. After your yarn ends are wet, it's time to felt things with a little bit of heat and friction. And you can do this by rubbing the ends together between your hands, but it's even faster to just rub it on your pant leg. And this also is going to help absorb any excess moisture if you use water instead of spit. So you slightly overlap your 2 yarns. And I also like to just twist them together a little bit. I find it's easier to get things started here. And you want that twist to be in the same direction as the plies of the yarn. And then you can just start rubbing the yarn up against your leg. And it's going to sound a little bit counterintuitive, but you don't want to apply too much pressure down onto the yarn because then instead of felting, it sort of disintegrates the fiber. Check it every once in a while to see if it's starting to felt together. And you may notice that it starts drying out before it's felted to the point that you want. Then you can just add a couple more drops of water by blotting it onto the yarn. And then rub some more, add a little friction, a little bit of heat, and get that felting process to work its magic. And again, like I said, it's a little bit quicker if you use saliva instead of water, but either way will work. And eventually it felts enough that even when you apply a little bit of tension to it, it doesn't come apart. Now be aware that at the beginning we were able to break the yarn, so it's not strong enough to totally hold everything together because the yarn itself will break under tension, but it keeps the ends, they're not slipping apart. And if you'd like to make the join even less noticeable, you can go ahead and, before you start knitting with it, again, just twist it a little bit while it's damp here. And that's going to help make the transition, if you're using two colors like I am, it makes the transition a little bit less noticeable. If you're using a single color, that's not quite such a big deal. So I hope you have a great week working on your It's All Right MKAL Möbius. If you'd like a little bit more information about the knit along, you can head over to the Makers Mercantile group on Ravelry and look for the It's All Right MKAL discussion thread. Until we stitch again, happy knitting!